So guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Jackie Fitness. I coach new moms age 30 to 45 years lose weight and overcome postpartum symptoms through fitness and self-care. And we are living in a world where mental health is rampant. And I love how the narrative is changing day by day. But that could not be possible if there were no people like Afzan Baban who have decided to come out and share their experience despite the stigma. And I'm truly looking forward to where people will talk about mental illness without being skeptical or feeling they're out of place or something. And today I have an amazing guest. She's a certified mental health first aider, architect, influencer, advocate, and a YouTuber. She was diagnosed with Bipolar II Disorder in 2019, and through therapy, she discovered that she has been living with these symptoms without knowing. And she has been sharing her experiencing while managing her condition and living relatively normal life. So, welcome Afzan Baban to my channel.
Thank you so much, Jack, for having me.
Welcome, you're welcome. You are truly welcome. And we want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I've said a lot about you, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, your introduction basically summed up almost everything about me. But my name is Afzan. You can call me Baban, just Baban. Afzan, Baban. You just call me Baban because that's what my friends call me. I am 41 years old. I turned 41 in January, and I am actually the eldest of 3 siblings. Yeah. Yeah, and I've lived it. Yeah, I've lived in Malaysia all my life, but I do love to travel everywhere. And Africa is the one place that I have not been to yet.
You should come to Africa and see how beautiful our country is.
Yeah. I've seen a few of my friends who went there, and I think the landscape is just gorgeous.
Yeah, plan to come to my country and I will host it.
Oh, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, you're so much welcome. So thank you so much. So we want to know, who is Afzan Baban? Who is her without career?
Okay. I am someone who appears typical as someone who's very bubbly, very not to say friendly, but I guess cordial with people. I generally do not like crowds, and I prefer to be home as much as possible. And the pandemic has helped a lot actually, because I was not obligated to go out and during the lockdown and stuff. So I not to say I don't have friends. I have friends, but just a close circle. I don't. Well, to put it bluntly, I don't like people. I don't like a lot of people. I don't like to be around people so much. I don't know why. I just don't.
Yeah, and I get it. I'm such kind of a person. When I'm comfortable, that's when I'll be all over. But when I'm not comfortable, I will just be cold on you, and you might think I don't like you, but it's only that I'm not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes,
I normally
definitely.
call myself an introvert, and people say, no, you are not. But it's only because I'm with those people who I know and I'm comfortable with.
Yes, we are actually very outgoing, but only with a select few of people in our lives. We are not the same way with strangers. We are not the same way with people we just met.
Yeah.
Like one or 2 hours ago.
Very true. So that shows you might be sharing personality.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you so much, Baban. You are a mental health advocate. what really inspired you?
Okay, as you mentioned just now, I was diagnosed in 2019, and I was 38 years old at the time. But then I discovered that I've been living with the symptoms all my life, almost all my life, and I didn't even know it. The symptoms probably started as early as in my teenage years. So that was probably 20 years of my life that went by without me knowing that I actually had bipolar disorder. So I thought, maybe there are more people out there who are like me. We are experiencing symptoms. We go through depressive episodes, we go through hypomanic episodes, but we just don't know that we are actually experiencing symptoms of a mental disorder. And that made me want to speak up and share my story and just encourage people to not be afraid to seek treatment, to not be afraid to get opinions, medical professional opinions. Because in mental health, self-diagnosis is very dangerous. You cannot self-diagnose yourself. You must get proper diagnosis from medical professionals, and unfortunately, the conversation about mental health, although it's going in the right direction in Malaysia, I do feel like it's not really more openly talked about. And that was why I decided, I could use my story and use it to help others who are probably like me. We have a career, we have friends, we have families. We don't look like people who have mental health issues. Because people have this idea that people with mental illness, people with mental disorders, they don't smile all the time, they don't have friends, they talk to themselves, they isolate themselves, but that is often not the case. People with mental health issues look just like you and me. You just cannot tell. Yeah, and that's why I started my talks.
Thank you so much, Baba. So you can share with us some of the signs and symptoms of bipolar disorder.
Okay. Bipolar disorder is when somebody experiences extreme ends of the emotional spectrum, like extreme lows and extreme high. Bipolar 1 is some would say is the most severe of compared to bipolar 2, because when the low period is called depression, bipolar depression, and the high is called mania. That is why before it was called bipolar disorder, it was called manic depression, because you experience both depression and mania. But bipolar 2 disorder, the high is called hypomania, because it's not as severe as bipolar 1's mania. Yeah. So the symptoms of depression is, I think a lot of people know, we feel this hopelessness. We feel it's not really sadness, I think, at least for me, because for me it was more like an emptiness, a feel of hope, a feeling of hopelessness, and it lasts more than 2 weeks. I think I remember during my university years, I went through depressive episode for months, because it was during my diploma years, and I remember my grades were slipping at the time, and I did not do any homework. I isolated myself. I did not go to classes. I was not crying. I was not crying all the time, but I just felt I just simply existed. I felt like, what's the point of living? I was just existing. And then hypomania is the high episode. The hypomania part is quite tricky, because sometimes you think like you're actually feeling excited, you're feeling happy. So there are times when you don't really know whether you're experiencing the start of a hypomanic episode. But symptoms could include racing thoughts, I would think about so many things at once at the same time, and then I would find it difficult to focus, and I would feel extra confident about myself. And I think the worst hypomanic episode I had was yes, in 2020. I am normally a very responsible person when it comes to my own finances. But that year, I don't know what possessed me, what came over me, but I cleaned out my entire life savings. I bought things, expensive things for my friends, for everybody else. I did not spend it on me, so I spent it all. And so yeah, and then right after the episode ended, because remember these symptoms per episode, it has to last more than 2 weeks. So to spend my entire life savings, it obviously would have taken more than 2 weeks. So that's what happened. And now I'm starting to keep my studies up again.
I didn't know about that. They mentioned about when I was studying about mental health, they mentioned that sometimes people can start giving out gifts, like their expensive belongings, like their laptops, like if they have a car, they can just come and give you that car. So I didn't know it's that serious. It happened to you as well. You used all your savings. How was that?
Yes.
How was it for you?
See, that it was an impulsive thing. It's not that I didn't realize what I was doing, but it was an impulsive thing. I found it very difficult to control the things I do because my mind was racing. I was hyperactive. I was going here and there, and I was being very confident. I felt it's like this fake confidence, I guess, because it's not real confidence.
Yeah.
And I think I remember I just felt like it's just money. It's just money. Just go and give it away. Buy things from my friends. Yeah, I was not really thinking because my mind was racing, and I just didn't have time. I think that is during hypomanic episode, a lot of people with bipolar disorder, they do irrational things. Yeah, things, and they take risks. They do things that they won't normally do. They take risks that they won't normally take.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is really
yes.
But we hope things are going to be well.
Oh yes, I think because I think because in 2020, I remember I was diagnosed in 2019 in September. So in 2020, I was just a few months into my medication, just a few months into my therapy. So I guess the medication was still not really working as because this medication, it takes time to really work. So I think that at that time I was still struggling a little bit.
Okay. Thank you so much, and we commend you for being so courageous and sharing your story with us today. So now, how did the society view your condition or the family?
Okay, my family took it rather well. Of course, even myself at first, when the doctor told me, you have bipolar disorder, I didn't believe her. I was in denial. I thought, I'm not somebody who could possibly have mental disorder because I have, there's this perception that people with mental disorders, they come from broken families, they come from dysfunctional families, but I have a relatively normal family. I come from a relatively normal family. So I thought, there's nothing in my background that would suggest that I could have a mental illness, except for one traumatic event in my childhood, but that was it. I didn't have a bad childhood. It was just that one incident that was so traumatic. But I guess that was the catalyst to me having this disorder. And yes, So my family took it rather well. And I also told my colleagues at work, and they were all like, okay, now everything makes sense, because because they've always said that I'm kind of weird at the office, because I'm like the weird one in the office, always doing strange things, always because my remember as someone with bipolar disorder, I tend to have mood swings, and it's not like flipping switch, like from high to low, from high and then high again, and then low again and high again. But there are periods of where I would be in very low mood, and then periods of high mood. So they noticed that, only they didn't know what to name it, what to label it. And so when I told them, they said everything makes sense, and they've been rather supportive, and they even remind me to take my medicines from time to time.
Ah, that is so nice. Like, it's like they joined the dots.
Yes. Okay. Finally everything makes sense to them.
Okay. So how did you overcome? I understand there are some of challenges and stigma as well, even if they took it well. So how did you overcome that?
I think by learning more about my own condition. I mean, I was diagnosed in 2019. That was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to understand how it affects me, how it affects others. I'm still learning the symptoms, how different people have it, because different people, even though there are similar traits, but different people experiences different forms of the symptoms. It manifests itself in different forms. So I overcome the challenges by making sure I go to therapy, I see my doctor, and I take my medication, because the medication helps keep me stable. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I would never have symptoms anymore. It just means that now I am more aware of myself. I'm more aware of the emotions that are going on inside me, and I know the triggers, so I know how to avoid situations that would trigger the symptoms. It doesn't always work, because sometimes the symptoms can just come out of nowhere, but I do my best. And also that is why it's important for me to share my story, so that people can see that people with mental disorders, people with mental illness. Now, I'm not talking about those who have very serious mental illness, mental condition, to the point of having hallucinations or experiencing psychosis. But for relatively normal people like me, having a mental disorder does not mean that we are not able to function. We can work, we can have relationships, we can have family, build a family, have a loving relationship with our own family members, and just live our life to the fullest.
Wow, that is really so alarming and eye-opening as well. Understanding yourself so that you can pinpoint the triggers, even if they come anytime they feel like. So that requires a lot of understanding who you are, tracking your emotions, your trick and everything, even your circle, right?
Yes.
Circle of friends.
Yes, definitely. Yes, having the right support system is very important. I am very lucky because my family, my friends, my co-workers, they are all very understanding and very supportive, and they support me so much.
Hey, that is a blessing for you as well. So, are there some helpful activities you've been emulating to manage your condition and put yourself to be sane?
Yes. At first, my psychiatrist, she suggested that I start journaling, writing down my thoughts, writing down everything. But I am just too lazy to write, so I stopped doing that. And then she suggested that I start going for walks, like morning walks, or in the evening before I come home from work. and make sure it's done outside. Because she said when you are outside connecting with nature, and there are a lot of parks here around where I live, so I go there, and normally I do it on weekends in the morning, because although I live in the tropics, I don't like hot weather so much, so I always make sure I go early in the morning and to go for walks. And she said that when you're connecting with nature, you look at the greens and water and all the natural elements, it just calms you down a bit, and it helps. And true enough, it does help. And when I guess when I walk, it gets rid of all the negative energy inside me that has been bottled up. So I just go for walks. Sometimes I walk fast, sometimes I walk slow. I never run because I don't like running. So I just go for walks. And also I do makeup. I am actually a makeup lover.
Yeah.
But during a depressive episode, I would just not wear makeup at all. Sometimes I would not even shower. So what's the point of putting on makeup if you're not even showered, right? So yeah, I use makeup to help calm me down, also because I do experience anxiety as well at certain, under certain circumstances. And doing makeup helped me focus on one task at a time. Like when you're putting on your eyeliner, you focus on the eyeliner and you don't think about the rest of the face. Then you do your eyeshadow, you do that, and you don't focus on anything else. So it helped me train my brain and train my thoughts to focus on just one thing, and it helps. So what I'm trying to say is that different people deal with mental illness in different ways. What works for you, what works for me may not work for you. So you have to find the things that make you happy, the things that make you excited to help you get through whatever it is you're going through.
Wow, I can't stop smiling.
That's good if you can stop smiling.
I just can't stop smiling because when you mentioned journaling, that is therapy by itself. Before I didn't know that journaling can be so productive, and I've been teaching the moms I'm working with to journal. That is one thing which keeps your emotions at par and makes you understand what is going on.
Yes.
Emotionally.
Yes. And actually, I think when you write down your feelings, you're acknowledging it instead of bottling it up and denying it. So you're making it real.
Exactly. Something which a lot of people don't want to do. People just want to numb how they feel. And like you can hear someone saying, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry about this. But that is not how it's supposed to be. We are supposed to acknowledge that I feel crying, and you cry it out, you write it down, you feel whatever you want to feel. Now that is what we need to embrace now when we are having episodes and anxiety. Yeah.
Yes, and I think my therapist was right when she said there is no such thing as a negative feeling. Whatever you feel is a feeling, whether it's sadness, whether it's anger, jealousy, whatever, it's a feeling. It only becomes negative when you react to it in a negative way. So when you feel sad, it's okay to cry. When you feel angry, it's okay. If you feel angry, just make sure that you don't turn it into something negative by lashing out at people, by doing destructive things and things like that.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. And that's a bit of makeup. Wow.
Yeah.
Any activity which engages your mind and makes it grounded, we can say?
Yes, actually, there are some. I learned breathing techniques, especially when I find my thoughts to go everywhere and then not focus, and then I start panicking and start to have difficult breathing. There are breathing techniques that I learned, and sometimes when I feel lonely or unsupported or just or just these are irrational feelings, right? I know there are people who love me, but I sometimes feel like when no one is there for me. But that is what we say. Sometimes our mind is lying to us. So there's this technique called the butterfly hug, where you just hug ourselves and just it's okay. It's important to be kind to yourself. Before you can be kind to others, you have to be kind to yourself.
So true, so true. We can talk about this until tomorrow. I love this.
Yes.
So let's go to the next one. What can you tell someone who has bipolar II disorder or any other mental illness? It could be anxiety or depression. What can you tell them?
I think the first thing you have to do is to acknowledge whatever it is you're facing. Don't deny it, because the longer you deny it, the longer you bottle it up, and that's when in the end it just all comes crashing down, because you are no longer capable of keeping everything bottled up inside. That everything comes out like a volcano. But the second thing is to not be ashamed of what you're experiencing and not be afraid to seek help. Everyone can get better, but it needs proper diagnosis, proper therapy, and even in many cases you probably won't even need to be medicated. But even if you do need to be medicated, you need to take pills prescribed by doctor, of course. Don't take it. Don't take any drugs yourself. Even if you have to be medicated for it, it's okay. There is no shame in that, because people are being medicated for diabetes, for high blood pressure, for heart conditions. They take pills and they're not ashamed of it. So why should you, who are taking pills for your mental health, for your mental condition, be ashamed of it? So just just don't be afraid, don't be ashamed. I know that the society can be unkind towards people who have mental disorders, but they are not in your shoes. They are not experiencing what you have experienced. So they can say anything they want. You just I know this is so much easier said than done, but sometimes you just have to turn a deaf ear to all the negative things that's being said about mental illness. And the last thing is to surround yourself with people who support you, who love you, and just make sure you're around the right people, because the wrong person, even just one wrong person, can turn your whole world upside down. So make sure your circle are the people who will love you no matter what.
Well, thank you so much. That reminds me, you could be having some anxiety or depressed, but if you find out, or if you look at your circle, you'll find that maybe it's your friends. Maybe
that is true. That is true. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's actually someone else.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know what? It's actually okay to pull yourself away from people who give negative vibes, who are negative towards you. It's okay. You won't lose anything. You won't be I know in certain cultures it's very bad to sever ties with people, to stop being friends with others, but you just have to put yourself first when it comes to your own mental health.
Yeah, very true. One more thing, like, especially women, they normally feel like the moment they are putting themselves first, it's like they're being selfish. What can you tell them?
Yeah. Well, be selfish. So what? Yeah, because there is just no way around it. You have to put yourself first, because if you are suffering, there is no way you can be loving towards others. You cannot give from an empty hand. So if your hands are empty, there's no love in your hands. How are you going to love others? So you just have to start loving yourself, fill your own hands with love, and then you can spread the love to everyone else.
Wow, That is the
Be selfish if you have to. It's okay.
Thank you for reminding them that. So now we come to an end of our interview, and we'll have a round. Yes, so you'll tell us what we don't know about you.
That I am a Bollywood fan. Only my close friends know this. I love movies. Bollywood. I don't know if you know Bollywood. Do you know Bollywood? India? Movies from India? Yeah. I am a fan of Bollywood songs, Bollywood movies. It's like my guilty pleasure. Not a lot of people know. And I don't know why, but I sometimes try to hide it. I don't know why. But I am a big fan.
Okay. So, what do people assume of Baban?
I think a lot of people think that I am not funny. But I think my friends and a lot of people in my life have told me that I can be funny. So there's that.
Wow, that is really so encouraging and so good. I'm so glad this has happened. I'm so happy.
Yes.
It's in the morning here, and I can't stop smiling. Thank you so much.
It's good. It's okay to smile.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Afzan, for availing yourself for this interview.
Yes, for sure.
I've been looking forward to it. And one more thing, I would love you to share with my audience and social media handles.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. They are all named the same, Babanology. So you can follow me on Instagram. I share my stories every day, and sometimes stories of other people with their consent, of course, with their permission. I won't share stories of other people without their permission.
Yeah.
And on my YouTube channel, I have this show called The Extraordinarily Ordinary, where I interview normal people like you and me who have faced extraordinary circumstances. I mean, some of them have like dropped down to the lowest point, but built themselves up, climbed up off the deep hole, and become better people. So yeah, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Thank you so much. So guys, you've heard it. Afzan Baban has shared a story. She has shared all the social media handles. If you are going through any mental illness, it could be anxiety, it could be depression, it could be postpartum, it could be bipolar, any of that, don't be afraid. Come out. There are people out here, myself and Baban, we are advocates for mental health, and we are encouraging you guys to come out and let's do this together. So thank you so much. Subscribe to both of our channels. I am looking forward to meeting you. Plan so that you can come in Nairobi.
Yes, definitely. Is there like what do they call it, like a giraffe sanctuary?
Yes.
Yeah. Where they let the giraffe roam free, and sometimes the giraffe will like put their head into the window while you're having breakfast. Things like that.
It's called Giraffe Center.
Okay. I want to visit that place, definitely.
So save and come here. I am going to host you. So don't
Thank
worry.
you so much.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I am so happy. Thank you for availing yourself. We are actually on time. So see you. We'll have a fantastic week.
Yes, you too. Have a good week, and thank you so much for doing this, for inviting me, and I love what you do. You are helping mothers and people with postpartum depression get out of the depression episode, and just be themselves and be happier.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see each other on the LinkedIn about the week.
Yes, for sure.